Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Kustom's YouTube channel. Dave here. Part 3 on the Kustom console on the Area 51. That. If you watched the last parts of the series on this, you'll see, you've seen the construction stages of the old console, which was challenging at times. But now, moving on, I've got it kind of to a good place, and we understand each other a little bit better now. Made a mistake. I know it happens. Wasn't planning on this, but here we go. Good riddance. Now, what I've got to do next is create a hinge sort of thing for the armrest, and I don't know, there must be something wrong with me. I could just go and get a little hinge and screw it to here, and you really probably wouldn't see much of it at all from any angle, but I want to have a kind of more hidden sort of swing out sort of hinge, which I can't find anything kind of off the shelf that is going to do that. So I am been designing one for it myself, and I'm going to set about trying to make it. We'll see whether it works or not. As you can see, my design CAD as such. So I'll show you how I've kind of been working it out. It's kind of rudimentary, but it kind of helps me get into the ballpark of where I think this, whether this design will work or not. So let's have a look. Okay, so this is my little Surface Pro, which I use for designing stuff at work and whatnot as well. And I haven't got it here. I don't know where the pen is. It must be up in my computer bag. But this is a software called Clip Studio Paint Pro, which is primarily for hand drawing. It's more vector-based artwork, but that's beside the point. So what I was kind of doing was emulating this part of the old back of the console here with my little rudimentary sketch, and sort of drawing the step down and roughly where a pivot point could potentially work as a hinge. Now, what I sort of was playing around with is this here, changing the pivot point on the selection box for moving it, and then kind of playing around with how it would Okay, after picking up this little brass hinge and holding it up there, I got this out 2 weeks ago when I was playing around with this idea, and I discarded this thinking, nah, that's not going to be any good, that kind of hinge, because I had it in mind for a different position. But after picking this little bugger up, I actually think I've been overthinking this whole hinge thing for this lid. So I think I'm going to simplify it, make my life way easier, and just use this little brass hinge. I know it doesn't go right across, but I don't think it actually needs to. Well, I don't know. I don't think it needs to anyway. And so I just gave it a little bit of a wire wheel, and it cleaned up quite nice. So I could do with a little bit of a scotchy and just take some of the wire wheel marks out of it now, but for mock-up, I think it's going to be okay. So I'm going to use this little hinge and just screw it to the top, and that's it. But I'll make a lid as well, so don't panic. I'll make a lid. Alright, I don't know what I'm going to do about making a lid, but Just a flat piece, or should I put a front on it? I don't know, I'll have a think about that. Okay, so drilled those holes just a little bit too big for these particular self-tappers, but well, now I've got to get it out. There. Or is it that it just chewed the thread off these particular self-tappers? More the case. The problem is, those holes where they need to be is right through one of my cross brace bars. And look at that, I actually got them drilled right through the centre. How's that for a fluke? Check this out. See those holes? Right in the centre of that bar. That is 100% fluke. I could not have done that if I tried. If I tried to do that, I was just going in blind. I thought they're going to skid off to the side and they went straight through the centre of that bar, all three of them. Holy moly. Now I really need to get some machine screws or something to tap those. What do I drill a hole with? 3 mils. So I need, oh god, I need some little screws that'll tap into there nicely. Countersunk ones. Oh, but how's that for a fluke? Wicked. I don't know what to do now. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm going to buy a lotto ticket. Incredible. I'm going to set the precedent for the rest of this now. It's all going to go crooked. Oh. I'm just fizzing on that. I'm a bit lost for words, to be honest. I'm going to have to go and find a piece of steel or something now and carry on in some screws and shit. Yeah. I found some M4 machine screws. They're just cheap, nasty things, and they're not countersunk, but they're going to be alright for a mock-up, and I'll buy some decent countersunk screws to bolt these hinges on for final assembly. So for now I'm just tapping them out to suit. Try not to snap the tap, which will give me the willies a little bit. Scary. Chuck a little bit of safety footwear fell off. Chucked a little bit of lithium grease in there. I don't know if it's much good for like as a cutting oil, but I haven't got any cutting oil. Could use CRC or WD-40 or something, eh? But I haven't got any WD-40 either, so in, out, in, out. One down. Two down. Three down. Good times. Right. Very surprised. Sure I was going to snap. I'm sure I was going to snap the one of those bits just then, but managed to get through that without snapping anything yet. Well, there's a thing. That might be why I didn't want to use one of these hinges, because of the way it sits up proud. But, it's not the end of the world. What I can do is still do... that won't work either. I don't know. I have to have a think about this now. Let's have a gap about that much. That's really a problem. I could have like a little rubber thing around the underside of the lid anyway, just to kind of cushion it so it's not like clang bang sort of stuff, so it has like a little bit of a softer close maybe. How I do that I don't know. Well, figure that out. Might be a case of cutting a piece of timber to go on here and actually routing out a pocket for the hinge to screw into. Get what I'm saying? We'll be back. Okay, so here we are. I just found a piece of 18 millimeter plywood that I had varnished up for something. I can't remember what that was for. And the length is not bad, but I thought I'd just kind of screw it on there just to get an idea of what's going on here. So to get this to work, for as example, I'd need to route out a pocket for the hinge to sit in. I'm not sure what happens as far as clearance goes if I do that. Might be right still. And to get it to sit down lower. Now it will sit down lower when I've got proper countersunk machine screws in there instead of those little dome headed things. Just a bit anyway, not a whole hell of a lot, but yeah, so I might actually cut this down and kind of keep working this piece of wood, because it's going to be covered and you've got to stick it to something. Don't know whether I should have, I mean, when we cover it, we'll cover it fully with something inside here as well to, you know, dress it up, but does it need any steel, you know, like to go through just as an extra support, like go through the steel and then screw the steel plate to various places in there. Not hard to do, like got no problem with cutting a piece of steel to kind of help support the hinge and whatnot, but again, you don't want to kind of make it weigh 40 ton just for a lid, which most of the time will be shut. So I want to cut that down, play around with this some more, route out that hinge thingamabob, and might chisel it out. I don't know. Got a little tool that might help with that. And yeah, just carry on with that, see how it pans out. Not 100% sold yet, but we'll give it a try. Well, change of plan. I don't like this wood idea, not in this form anyway. I am going to make a steel base somehow and worry about the padding and stuff later on, but for now I just don't like this. I cut it too narrow anyway, so it's all gappy, and I cut the pocket out of it too deep, so it's too bindy. So it's coming out. Not that way. Still going to use this hinge, but got a different idea now. So let's get into that.
Hey guys, back, update. Okay, it's the next day now. Changing plans. You didn't really think I was going to go along with that just screwed on hunk of wood onto the old after all of this effort. Well, I was, and then until I saw it, and then I decided, nah, I can't do that. So, new plan, making a kind of a wire steel frame piece. It's going to sit up on here. I'm going to put a bit of sheet steel inside it, and then we'll cross that whole bridge of what we're going to do with the rest of it when I get that far. Okay, so this is where we're at. So I'm just making a little step up to get around the hinge, and then I'm going to cut a piece of plate and shape the plate to fit neatly inside of this. Hopefully it all goes how I want it to. Not sure whether to weld it from the top or the bottom. If I can get a piece cut real neat and tidy and a perfect snug fit, I might weld it from the top rather than the bottom, so when it's open you won't see any welds in there, and I'll sand all this up and paint it or powder coat it or something eventually. There, that's where we're at the moment, and I'm making it overhang at the front a bit. Not sure why. Might curve it down into it yet. Don't know. We'll see. Carry. Hey guys. Well, jumping ahead. Update. I've made one of these. Now this is that wire frame that I had earlier, and I've cut and welded the kick up for the hinge clearance and welded some sheet plate steel into it. So now I've just got to line it up and screw it on, but I'm kind of freaking out about getting these screw holes in exactly the right place. I'm going to have to puzzle out how to do that. But before I do that, I've got just about every tool I own on the bench at the moment after doing this little job, so I'm just going to have a little bit of a tidy up, and then I'll get those screw holes kind of marked out. Mark the holes, drill them, and hope for the best when I put it back down, or find some way of marking the holes while it's down. I don't know, I'll figure that out in a sec. Splinters. My battery going flat. Yes, it'll be quick. Right. Riv certs, just because my self-tapper that I put in stripped on the first hole, so I thought that's destiny saying you've got to put some more riv certs or riv nuts in. But yeah, I found 4 M4 countersunk screws. Well, I need 6, so I've got 4 in there for now, which is fine. We'll have like a little rubber stopper of some sort going on there. Now the big decision is I'm thinking of trying to follow this curve and rolling that down onto there, or do I have the pad and have just a kind of little overshoot as a kind of point of difference, if that makes sense, or if you get that. And I don't know, I like the idea of putting a radius down the front, but I'm just not sure how I will then, I haven't really left any provision for like a get your fingers under it kind of thing. That make, you know what I'm saying? Puzzling. And also for a catch, well, picked up one of these little magnetic things. It's all covered in stuff. It's just like a little magnet catch. I could put that down, inside this edge here, and it would just, that edge in there, and it would just kind of catch onto the actual steel of the lid. Yeah, but I don't know. Again, I've got splatters all over the side of that now. Fool. Damn it. Now I have to re-sand or re-grind all of the side of that console. What an idiot. What an idiot. I just welded all of that up and made a bigger mess for myself.
Never mind. That's life in my garage. Yeah, so I don't know. I actually really want to put that curve in it, but I really don't know whether I can get what I'm after. But if I put that curve in it, it rolls down. I'll have a think about it. Okay, so just had to change the battery on the old GoPro over at the production headquarters, which is on top of the dryer where I charge my other battery. But anyway, here we are. I tipped that front edge just because. Now, keep in mind that this is going to have some form of upholstery on here. I don't really know what yet. So when I say keep in mind that it's going to have some form of upholstery on there, that doesn't really paint a picture of what I've got in mind. But I'm gonna maybe kind of have it follow out and come out and do something, and then come over and then maybe do like a rounded roll or something along those lines. That way when it's fully open, the upholstered part can do the resting on the painted part, if that makes sense. But on the whole, quite happy with it. It's got a little pop thing from welding it. Do you reckon it's too late to put a bead roll down the centre of that to take that little pop out? It won't really matter, I don't think. Would it? Oh, because it's going to have like obviously foam attached to this, may even have like a block of wood or something, then upholstery. I don't really know yet. So not really sure what to do about that. Okay, so sorry, distracted. Cause that's where I'm going to leave the lid for now. Next up is going to be how the hell am I going to fix it into the car, install it. So I've got to put it back into 51 and figure out how I'm going to actually bolt it in, I guess, and how many bolts it's going to kind of need, or how many fixing points. I was thinking 2 up the front, maybe a couple down the back. Will it need any up the middle? I don't really know. I don't really think so, but probably wouldn't hurt. Over engineer it a little bit. So that's next. Not today. It's getting a bit later in the day now, so might be time for a cold beverage, I reckon. So see you tomorrow, maybe. Hey guys, right. So installing the console now. I noticed a little crooked thing on the lid that I've got to fix as well, but we'll get to that. So plan is to figure out how I'm going to install the console into the Area 51, like mounting stuff like nuts and bolts and things like that. But yeah, so had a couple of days away from it. As you can tell, probably looking a bit like death warmed up. Got myself a dose of the Rona. Yeah. But back in the garage, good as gold. Right, so carry on. So got to figure out how I'm gonna install this, like with bolts and stuff like that, so it stays in there. Noticed a little crooked thing on the top section here of the old the lid, which I've just kind of ground that down because it was kind of kicking up a bit around by the hinge. Just, I don't know, I just made a mistake. It happens quite frequently on this channel, but yeah, fixed now, sort of, I think. Right, so yeah, next up is install. So I've got a plan. I've got drilled a couple of holes up underneath the dash, which are going to bolt down from up inside. Got to weld a couple of little tabs in here. Over here.
weld a couple of little tabs in here that I'll put either rib certs into, or rib nuts, or whatever you want to call them, and then so I can kind of bolt it up from in the dash. I'll show you later. And then I've got to figure out what I'm doing further back down here. I'm thinking about putting a midpoint bolting point in there somewhere, and some kind of anchoring down the back just to lock it all in so it doesn't wiggle and move around and stuff like that. So yeah, get into it. Just make up some little taggy things, and then I can mark the holes of where they got to go, drill and tap them or rib cert them, and then carry on in there. Yeah. Okay, so as you probably have just witnessed, tacked on these little tabs that at a 3mm or 1/8 inch plate. Yeah, so I'm just going to tack them in for now, rather than just weld them home. So what I've got to do is kind of go and put this up under the dash, and then I've already got the holes drilled under the dash, so I can mark my holes. And just before I weld all these like fully in there, I'm just going to make sure everything's going to line up, being cautious rather than diving in and just welding all this stuff on here and then realizing that I've put them in the wrong place. So yeah, I might just flush off these spots, these tacks, and then go and fit it up and mark my holes. I'll do that first. Okay, this is a lesson in if you're wanting to make something kind of removable without disassembling too much, you should probably put all of the pieces in first and then build it around it, not just kind of have a guess like I did. I thought I was going to be able to just pull the main lever off my locker shifter and still be able to slide this in near bother, as they say in Scotland, but it's become a bother. So even with it right down into first gear, it's not going to go in. So I either have to take that whole mechanism off, which I just spent like the better part of like a day and a half getting it all in there while this was in the car and adjusting it and stuff like that, and it's still not all done properly yet, or I'm going to have to modify my console again, which I think that's what I'm going to do. So wasn't planning on this, but here we go. Right, hopefully that's my little relief thing to get this in without having to pull the whole shifter assembly sort of gonna work. Gotta try and fit it now, but it doesn't change my plans too much. I was still planning on bringing a centerpiece, an insert up to this ridge line at least anyway. If I can get the science right, I wouldn't mind actually even bringing it right up, but at the very least it's going to come to there, and then we'll have another insert in there for around the air ride control thing as well. So here we go. God, man, what a shit fight. Anyway, carry on. Now it's can't have a crack at trying to put it in there again now, and hopefully it clears. Hopefully I can get it in without having to take that whole lot of stuff out, but we'll see. Okay, so a couple of little tweaks later, well, one little tweak later, it didn't fit, so but it was like this much out. But anyway, so this is what I'm talking about. Fitting that in there. It seems so weird having to make that big relief just to have that sitting there, but it is what it is. It's all good. It's going to be it's going to have a dress up pieces and that anyway. This is purely just so I can get this in and out without having to have that all disassembled and out of the way, because it's much easier to try and adjust this thing without this thing in the way. You know what I'm saying? God, what a mission. But here we go. This is what we do. That fits. That's just all tacked in place at the moment. Same with those tabs at the top. So now I just got to center up the front and the back as much as possible, and chuck some pin marks on my little tabs up the top. And then I can take it all back out, weld those up, drill those, weld, and stuff like that. So yeah, but get a drink of water. Okay, so the battle continues. Got those two sorted, welded up that little relief so I can get it in with the shifter mechanism in situ. Now I suppose I've got to put it back in and figure out how I'm going to mount up the rest of it. Got some ideas, but not really sure how it's going to pan out. But yeah, probably square up the far end, the armrest end, make sure it all square, and then anchor that, and then this center bit will just be for added insurance. Know what I'm saying? Okay, you can see down in there, see the bolts? That's where it bolts through that part of the dash. So I just gotta pinch those up and then start figuring out the back part. I've been thinking about whether to put some kind of, like a little rubber, I don't know, some little cushion, little cushion, oops, between these. And actually tighten them up proper. Now the holes I drilled in under the dash, I drilled them quite large, just so there's a bit of adjustment. Where the hell does that hold on? Oh, it's way over there. Oh. Turn the ratchet the right way. Where the hell is it? Primo, right. So now this seat's gone all crooked. Still only one bolt holding this seat in. Not even sure which bolt it is anymore, but yeah, so what I've got to do is figure out how to anchor it down the back here. Still sits a bit high at the back here. Would have liked it a bit lower, but I did flare this out a bit more, and the intention of it was supposed to flatten down a bit more at this end, but it doesn't appear to have really done much of anything. But never mind, I'll live with that. Leaves room for carpet and stuff, I guess. Alrighty, tacked in my rear mount. It's just a little tack and it's not actually bolted up tight, but it actually seems to be pretty secure now. So probably just going to pull this back out again and weld that little bracket on. Made a little bracket, little U-shaped bracket, just with had a bit of 5mm plate, 6mm, 5mm I think it is, and drilled and tapped a hole in it. So I think that's probably going to be enough. One little anchor in the back there, and don't know, I'll investigate up the front actually before I pull this out again and see what I decide. Do I need another midpoint anchor up here somewhere? I don't think it does actually. It's pretty sturdy, I think. Okay, getting there. Sort of keep fighting the fight. Starting to fade out a little bit though, this still a little bit little fatigued from the old coronavirus. Other than that, all my brain's just still fuzzy from it anyway. Just a little fuzzy around the brain. Rambling on about having a fuzzy brain. Right, so where are we? This is kind of what my idea for the insert kind of pieces are, sort of thing. So these would be out of aluminium. I cut this hole in the wrong place, but it's because things aren't actually centered, because the drive line's slightly off center, which I didn't factor in, which makes my trans tunnel slightly asymmetrical, which I didn't factor in when I did all of that. So it kind of has to make everything else slightly asymmetrical. But yeah, in a way, not a bad thing, as long as it's obvious. Just got to try and kind of pull it back in a little bit, maybe. Now I have to kind of, these templates I'm going to have to go and scan and then kind of recreate as a digital file and kind of print them out and see where everything still fits neatly and stuff. Because I haven't got a perfectly symmetrical console, it means I can't just kind of do one side and get a width and flip it over and Bob's your auntie. It's done, because that's just not how it's going to happen. Unfortunately, but it's alright. I can keep working at that though. But essentially, the console's done, installed, templates kind of mapped out. Should we put the lid back on? I've still got to make a bucket thing, a container that goes in there. That's just going to drop in. I might have a couple of like screws in it or something to stop it rattling. Maybe it could even just have a couple of little rubber feet or something that would stop it rattling. And doesn't need to be screwed in. Probably should. Hey, yeah, probably should. Just been lazy. Yeah, so I've got to make that up. Make up something to go in here. And yeah, make up my insert. And I really need to get give it another sand and get some primer or something to seal this thing up. I noticed some of the edges were already starting to flash up here, probably from sweaty hands and stuff like that, but should probably get this sealed up fairly soon, even if I just get some rattle can etch or something. I'll use my usual black etch on the inside, but I'm not really sure if I should put anything like that on the outside. I'm just going to sand it off anyway, so I might as well put something that's closer to what my final paint system is going to be on the outside of it, I guess. I don't even know what that is yet. But yeah, there we have it. Next up, I guess I should make a little container thing that goes in there. She's pretty rigid. I don't want to smack your elbow on it. Well guys, going to leave it at that for this video. Got everything kind of done that I wanted to get done this week after having a couple of real big weeks on this console. This week was just to kind of get this lid sorted out. Still got to make a thing for in there, get it console mounted, tick, and 4 to get these templates kind of underway so I can start doing all the computery stuff on those. So there we have it. That's where we're at with the old console. Do you like my shifter? It's pretty badass, don't you think? I'm sure I ordered the brushed aluminium one when I ordered that, and the black one showed up, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm thinking I might paint the actual shifter pole itself. Probably just leave this top part black, but I might change the shifter pole, maybe do that one of the
car colours, or the car colour. I haven't decided whether it's going to be two colours. I do quite like this two-tone thing that goes on sort of thing, but just not these particular blues. Yeah. Where was I going with it? Starting to ramble. I think I need hydrating, I think. Right, so. And as always, really appreciate anyone who watches it right to the end. If you've seen this, you guys are top. All you pikers that pike out like 30% of the way through, according to the analytics, good riddance. But I'm just kidding. If you come back and watch the end of it, then thanks very much. And all the new subscribers, that been a slow trickle, but yeah, not heaps, but it's all cool. Thanks for coming on board and watching my progress videos on the Area 51, and hopefully we'll get some more on that little Morris Minor over there soon. You never know your luck. Exciting stuff, the old Maury. And yeah, so until next time, take it easy and peace.